Hey, Jason Fladlin here, and in this video I'm going to share with you a technique that is designed to help you get unstuck and to break through with tasks and areas where you generally procrastinate and are full of inaction. And related to digital marketers specifically, because this is where I developed this technique, although it applies to all areas of life, I've noticed certain patterns where people who want to start a business or grow their business online, where they get stuck. So a beginner typically needs to pick a niche, an audience, a field, an industry, or a focus to go after. And they put all this pressure on, I got to pick the right niche. And if I don't pick the right niche, I'm going to fail no matter what. And inevitably, they pick no niche because the pressure of picking the right niche or the stakes of picking the wrong niche is too great for them. We've trained over 15,000 Amazon sellers on how to start or grow their Amazon business. And the number one struggle that they have is picking a product, either the first product to sell on Amazon or the next one, because this fear of what if I pick the wrong product? What is the right product? And then they study all these different materials, and now they have even more ways to confuse themselves because they have contradictive information. They have stuff that is taken out of context that they're not sure to apply to their context, et cetera, et cetera. People that want to utilize social media, first of all, what social media? Is it Facebook? Is it Pinterest? Is it Instagram? Is it YouTube? The answer is usually yes, in some way, shape, or form. And then, what do I post on? What's my strategy, et cetera, et cetera. And so most people, they talk themselves out of doing it before they can even give themselves a chance to do it. So before I give you the question, because it's a single question that you can ask yourself, it doesn't always work because nothing always works, but I found for a lot of people it's a tool in the toolkit that can work very often. If anything, it gives you a chance to try things on differently, which could give you a different result. So before I give you the question, real quickly, let's talk about what causes inaction. So a lot of people think inaction is caused by lack of information or lack of knowledge or lack of insight, experience, not having experience. And so this is what I categorize as procedural, meaning that there are times when obviously if I don't know what to do, it's hard for me to do anything. So there are procedural cases where that is what's causing your inaction. So if you don't know how to put a product on Amazon because you don't know how to get the PDF to send to the manufacturer to then send it to an Amazon distribution center, you're your host. But that information is easily available. Amazon gives it to you for free. And in one afternoon, for most of us, we could sit down, we can buckle down, and we can just follow the step-by-step instructions. And then we could very easily implement what we're supposed to implement. But that usually doesn't solve the problem. In fact, most of us already know what to do. So step one, we attempt to solve things with information, knowledge, and insights, which I'm a huge fan of. I love information and education. It's the most impactful way you can grow yourself is to learn more. But there comes a time when if learning isn't getting you to take action, then you have to switch to a different modality or approach. So the other reason people don't take action, or the cause of inaction, if you will, is fear. Fear of being wrong, making the wrong decision, fear of looking like a fool, fear of harming others if you don't say the right thing, if you're trying to do like coaching or whatever, right? Fear of uncertainty, that's the biggest one. Really, to me, it all boils down to fear of an unknown outcome. And I'd categorize these as mental. So you have procedural limitations and you have mental limitations. And about 95% of the time when people find themselves stuck, it's because of a mental limitation, not a procedural one. So solving that with information in and of itself is probably not the idea. So we need a way to handle the mental aspect of block, limitation, procrastination. Now, what I've discovered is oftentimes this mental fear, this fear of uncertainty comes from a concept that I learned in cognitive behavioral therapy, studying these really good therapists, is black and white thinking. We are all very capable of black and white thinking. We're all guilty of it, if you will. I don't think it's a guilt issue so much, but we all have this tendency as a survival mechanism to see things in oversimplified terms. It helps us navigate the world, make sense of it. Otherwise, we'd be overwhelmed all the time. But the problem where this becomes dangerous is people look at an activity and they see either I succeed with this or I fail at this. That is black and white. And because you probably are not very good at anything the first time you're doing it, in your mind you're equating that to I will fail. So I either succeed or I fail, and that's very scary. It's either one or the other. A lot of people say I'm either confident or I'm scared out of my mind. And that is black or white thinking. So you're either confident, which you're probably not going to be until you do it, or you're scared, which you currently are. So you're stuck. You have this rigidity. So black and white thinking creates rigidity. It's either one or the other. It doesn't create flexibility. And flexibility is one of the most effective things that you can do to take action because you're flexible. You can adjust the approach. You can be malleable. You can play with it. You can move forward a lot easier, right? So a lot of people, again, this false dichotomy of black and white thinking is you either help people or you hurt them. So people are like, if I put out content and it's not helpful, it's going to hurt somebody. Well, not really, but that's generally how we think about things that get us stuck. Or you either win or you lose. And win or losing can be in an abstract sense. Like you either make money or you don't make money. You're either getting traffic or you're not getting traffic. Winning or losing. So again, it's too rigid. It's too scary when you look at things in black and white eyes, with black and white eyes. So here's the question. The question is designed to switch you out of black and white thinking and into a thinking that is more accurate, which accuracy of thinking generally lends itself to better outcomes. And it also makes you more comfortable, which to me is most important. If I can take a decision that's right now super uncomfortable for you to make and I can help it make it more comfortable for you, it increases the likelihood of you moving forward exponentially, really. So this type of thinking is more conducive to action. It's designed specifically to help create action. And the thinking comes from this question. What percentage is acceptable? On its surface, seems like a very basic question. So let's apply it to some abstract concepts or some issues that you generally hear, cliches in the marketplace. So what percentage is acceptable? Let's apply that. So perfectionism. So a lot of people, what causes them to get stuck is this concept of perfectionism, which is black and white thinking. It's either perfect or it's a complete catastrophe, right? It has to be exactly right or it's wrong. The shift in thinking with percentage questions could be what percent of imperfection can you tolerate and still move forward? Really powerful question. First of all, it has a presupposition that you can move forward because you can move forward. Inevitably, you can move forward whether you realize it or not. It's absolutely possible. Everybody has that capacity. So what percentage of imperfectionism are you okay with that allows you to still move forward? So you don't have to fight the feeling of imperfection. You just have to realize that this is not a black and white issue. So can I be 88% perfect or 72% perfect? Or can I tolerate 27% imperfection? So this is what will happen if you sit with this line of thinking. You will say, well, what would 27% of imperfection look like? What areas is it okay and permissible to be imperfect in? And regardless of whether you're accurate with that thinking, it doesn't matter. You are now looking at the problem through a different lens, which will allow itself to be more resourcefully solved by you. So let's look at another one, confidence. So a lot of people talk about confidence. I don't even know what confident means, right? So people that lack confidence, they're absolutely confident in their lack of confidence. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? So let's switch the thinking to what percentage of confidence is enough for you to make an attempt? Now, until you do this, most people get stuck on I have to either be 100% confident, or if I'm not 100% confident, I'm not confident at all. But are you 51% or 50.1%? Is that enough? For some people, it is. It's a simple question. They say, okay, I can do that, right? Some people, they just need to be 5% confident because they say, well, I'll be confident enough just to make the first decision. And I don't have to worry about being confident enough to make all the decision. And that gets them moving. So this concept of imposter syndrome is another good area where this works because a lot of people, first of all, almost every successful person suffers from imposter syndrome. It's very common. Knowing that doesn't necessarily make it easier for you, but it's good to be aware of that. Now, how do we change that? So what percentage of you being an imposter is okay, is acceptable? What can you be an imposter in? So that way you can still be an imposter but move forward. There are times when we're going to be an imposter to who we want to be because we're not that person yet. But that shouldn't prevent us from moving into the person that we want to become. How can you be an imposter? In what areas of your life is being an imposter okay? What percentage of the time is it okay to operate in imposter syndrome so you can still get what you want? All right, so fear of missing out is another one. This is a binary, again, black and white type of thing. I either get it or I miss it. I either have it or I don't have it. Fear of missing out. What percentage of stuff can you miss out on and still feel good about it? Because you can't get everything. Nobody can get everything. But either people are like, I miss stuff and I feel bad, or I get it and I feel good, but they're never really going to get it. They're going to continue to miss out, and the rate of missing out on things is increasing every single second of every single day. So what can you miss out on? What's okay to miss out on? And that will open up a new line of thinking for you. Bright, shiny objects, again, this goes hand in hand with fear of missing out. What percentage of bright, shiny objects are you okay to be distracted by? It's like only the most disciplined monks probably can withstand bright, shiny objects. But because people generally look at this in black and white, which is ironic because bright, shiny objects have lots of color to them, they look at this in black and white and they say, I can't resist bright, shiny objects 100% of the time. So therefore, I just have to give in to all bright, shiny objects. I'm oversimplifying, but barely here. So people are like, I either got to completely close my eyes and then run into walls because I'm blind, right? Or I got to be blinded by the bright, shiny object. Either way, you're blinded. What percentage of the time is it okay to be blinded? Because you can't always not be blinded. And so this will allow you to look at the problem through a different lens, different perspective, perhaps get a different result. Which is any result is better than no result if you're not doing anything. So right and wrong is a very common theme throughout life. People either have to be right, or if they're not right, they're wrong. That's black and white thinking. What percentage of the time are you okay with being wrong? I love to be wrong on things that don't matter. I love to be wrong if it increases my learning and it doesn't harm other people, right? Oftentimes things are made right. They're not right away. And so wrong precedes right. I'm super excited about that. Now, there are times when I don't want to be wrong. So I have a percentage of time where being right is really important. But it gives me permission to not always be right all the time, which is impossible. And any sane human being is not going to want to act in those conditions because it's guaranteed to be unfulfillable. So winning and losing, again, what percentage of the time are you okay with losing? But here's the other question, too. This is one of my favorite questions. What percentage of the time, what percentage of doing whatever you want to do would constitute a win? So here's a different way in which black and white thinking robs us. A lot of people have realized the science of meditation, and I'm a big proponent of meditation. But most people don't meditate even if they want to, because they say, I can't meditate, or I tried meditation and it didn't do anything for me, or I suck at meditation, or meditation is boring. So therefore, because they instantly don't step into the results of meditation, or they have this black and white thinking of, in order to meditate properly, I got to be like a pro meditator right away, or I got to block 60 minutes or 90 minutes, or I got to do it in a very specific, only one specific way I meditate, right? Switching that focus to what percentage of doing any sort of meditation would constitute a win for you. And if it's 1 second, that's awesome, right? I know that's not a percentage, so you could actually take 24 hours in a day. You could break that down to 60 minutes per hour, times that, and then figure out what 1 second would represent as a percentage. And you say, can I do that? Can I do 1 minute? What's 1 minute as a percentage of a day? So for somebody who's never meditated or hasn't meditated in years, to me, 1 minute is a win because you did something you didn't do before. And you can increase that over time. So what your baseline percentage of acceptability is today doesn't have to be tomorrow. But oftentimes people get stuck in an off state. So they can't turn themselves on to new things. They're stuck in an off state, and this switches them on much easier because it doesn't focus on you either do it or you don't do it, right? What percentage of it can you do? What's the bare minimum percentage that you can do and be happy that you did it? Yoga, again, most people know the massive benefits of yoga, but they envision themselves spending 60 minutes in a studio, and they envision themselves having to drive there, drive home, get ready, and all this other stuff. Could you do one pose for 3 minutes? Would that constitute a win for you? What percentage? You have to sit there and try to baseline it down to as small of an effort as possible to make you feel like you have a win. But until we explore that, we're going to default into this black and white dichotomy, this thinking of, I either do my conception of yoga, which is a very high-level conception, which requires massive effort, or if I can't do that, then I don't do it at all. And that's rigid. That's not flexible. So what percentage of, so when I wanted to eat healthier again, I said to myself at first, how can I start eating vegetables? Because I'd like quit eating vegetables for years. And I said, if I took one bite of a vegetable, I would call that a win. That was how I reframed. I'm either eating healthy or I'm not eating healthy too. And then one bite became 2 bites, 2 bites became 4, 4 became 8. And then before you know it, it became easier to take a bite than it was to avoid the vegetables. So those are different ways that you can structure this. So here's what I would love you to do. Think of just one simple area in your life where you're stuck and you'd like to move forward, and turn this into a percentage question. What percentage would I be okay with tolerating whatever the limitation is and still can move forward? Or what percentage of this do I need to do in order to make it feel like a win? Am I thinking black and white? How can I switch this to percentage thinking? What percentage? And then we move forward in that percentage and we take stock, right? This helps sidestep not only black and white and rigidity and give you more flexibility and fluidity, but it removes a lot of the pressure. We change the rules of how we engage and how we make decisions to remove the pressure. And the more pressure we can remove from the decision, the more likely we are to make the decision. And so if we can find that percentage, be like, oh, I can do 5%. If I only have to be 5% confident to take the first step, now we have less pressure. Therefore, we show up more intentionally. We get things done. There you go. So if you do this and you see some massive benefit into this, or even a small benefit, what percentage of a benefit would you need to see in order to leave a comment, a like, and or a subscribe? I tease a little bit, but there's some truth in these jokes, all right? Otherwise, percentage, what percentage of blank? What percentage is needed? There's your thought for the day. Move forward with it. Let me know how it works for you.